As we speak, we are marking the 10 years of Make in India. What in your assessment has been the success or not so successful part of Make in India, and what more needs to be done to promote manufacturing in the country?
I think focusing attention on the need to produce more in India, whether it's goods or services, I think it's a good thing. I think it's important to do this the right way. That is, to do it by improving the ability of Indians to produce, more capacity amongst the workforce, skilling, training, more ease of doing business for business people, that is, more certainty about government policy, less fear of raids by the inspector or the tax authorities, etc. There's a package which creates the environment where growth happens. And I think if we focus on that, I think that would strengthen the concept of Make in India. And I think some of that was being done and is being done, but we need to keep assessing, is this the right thing? So when we say doing business, should we follow the World Bank doing business and check off, ye kiya, wo kiya, we've done this? Or should we actually ask the business person, what are your big difficulties? And, try and rectify those and keep surveying them to see whether in reality they find things have improved. Ultimately, the proof of the pudding is you're growing your manufacturing sector, you're growing your services sector. If that is not happening in the right way, then you have to ask, what am I not doing? So I would say the intention is good. I think in some areas we've done a lot. As I said, infrastructure, we've done a lot. That's been very useful. But we need to check the other places. And the best way to check is to ask critics, what do you think? What has happened? Has it happened the way you wanted? Should we do more? And you get feedback, and then you work along with it.
So are we not asking the critics enough?
I don't think we are. I think, this is more general, not about the Make in India. I think we want praise. We love everybody who comes to praise us, which is a good thing. But of course, then people understand that if they're more critical, they probably will not get heard. So you hear only one side of it. And what you really need to ask is, okay, what are we not doing right? Fine, praising us for what we're doing right is okay, but that doesn't help us improve. Telling us what we're doing wrong will get us to focus on that. And that means both domestic critics, but also international critics. We need to hear from both and not dismiss all the criticism that we hear as, Acha, these guys have an axe to grind, or there's some vested interest, or there's some hidden hand. But all the guys who praise, no, these guys know what India truly is. You can't take it, you need to take both.
So 7% growth, is that enough for India to achieve the third largest economic status in this decade and becoming the developed nation by 2040? Is that enough for India to achieve those targets?
So I think separate these. In terms of becoming the third largest economy, of course, if we grow at 7%, no mishaps. Germany is at about 4.5, so is Japan, 4.5 trillion. India is 3.7. If you do the math, it's 2-3 years, we'll be past them. That is not something which is out of the realm of possibility. It will happen. What is more worrisome, however, is when we say developed nation. Now, what does it mean to be developed? Now, that is also a changing metric, right? Let us say being developed is, having a per capita GDP in today's dollars of about 15,000. If you see that, then you put a 7% growth rate and you find it's not enough to become a 15,000 per capita GDP by 2047. We need to do better. So, but the other aspect you need to think about is, where are we going to generate that growth? What is the vision for that growth? What you're finding is, we just talked about the Trump administration. The pathways which rely on trade, especially of manufacturing goods, is becoming harder. That the world is shutting down on that. Everybody wants their own manufacturing. and doesn't want to cede it to others. You can see now for EVs and Chinese EVs, 100% tariffs in the US, 100% in Canada. Europe has only put 38, 37%. But if all the EVs are going to Europe, they will put tariffs up. And similarly for the developing countries and emerging markets. So the reality is there isn't a lot of place for a China-sized country to grow that way. So how are we going to grow? We need to think about what that vision is. There's no point keeping on saying 2047, Viksit Desh, Viksit Desh. What is the plan to get there? Now, we will hopefully have a vision document very soon. We need to debate that vision document. Does this make sense? Are all these things going to work as intended? And I think the constant effort has to be, here's what we intend to do it, and measure. Did this achieve what we were trying to do? If not, why not? So that's where the fact that we're a democracy helps, because we get a whole lot of criticism. This is not the Soviet Union. This is not China. We get people commenting back, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. And that helps us change, which is very good.
So after 10 years, we are back to coalition politics. We don't have a single party commanding majority in the parliament, in Lok Sabha. So does that reduce the appetite for the government to do reforms, especially big ticket reforms like privatization? Has that appetite gone, or do you see Modi 3.0 also carrying the legacy of reforms in an aggressive way?
Well, I don't think it should necessarily stop reforms. I think it may make, may force more consensus behind the reforms, which requires more agile government, more sensitive, clever government to do that. I mean, think of some of our most reformist governments. The Narasimha Rao government wasn't a supermajority. They had, a majority, but it was clubbed together with a bunch of parties supporting, right? And, the dream budget, Mr. Chidambaram's dream budget, was done in a coalition government. So it's not that coalition governments have meant no reform. I think that even NDA 1 was not a supermajority on BJP's side either. So I think we've had a lot of good economics-focused governments, and there's no reason why we can't do that even under the current regime.
So what, in your opinion, should be the reforms that Modi 3.0 should take in from 24 to 29?
Well, I think the single biggest is a laser focus on education. Now, immediately people say, no, that's not a central subject, it's concurrent, this, that. But, from the country's perspective, we absolutely need a better skill base, a better education base, right? Because what's confronting us? What's confronting us is the fact that very soon we're going to have AI in a big way. Are our youth going to be able to, meet that challenge and go ahead? And for that, they have to be creative in their own right. They have certainly, even if you want just manufacturing jobs, you need a strong skill base, because the kind of manufacturing jobs today are not the old sort of low-skilled manufacturing. Even the basic manufacturing jobs require some use of capital, some use of machines, some numeracy, some literacy. So I think we absolutely need more of a focus on getting good education. Not mass education, good quality mass education. Just getting everybody in school, we did that. But now we see a lot of them are dropping out because they're not learning enough. We need to keep them in school, not forcibly, but by making it attractive to stay, because they will learn. And so we need to ask ourselves, because, we keep saying Viksit Desh, okay, so 2047. We are in 2024, 23 years from now. The child who's born today will be entering the labor force there. What have we done to ensure that child who's born today will be a developed country child? That starts today. That doesn't start in 2047. And for that, nutrition has to be strong. We have 35% malnutrition. That doesn't work in 2047. We need better primary education. We need the child to learn how to read and write. We need better secondary education. We need top quality universities. We don't have one university in the top 100. This sounds negative. No, it's saying that we have a challenge. We can meet that challenge. Just see what we did in chess. This is the most highly intellectual activity supposedly, and we won both the men's and the women's. We can do it, but we need to give our people a chance, which means we need to focus on what the government has to do to bridge the gap. Now, government doesn't have to run the universities, government doesn't have to run the school, but it has to make sure that in Jharkhand, those students there have as much of a chance as the students in Delhi. And just lifting up the quality everywhere. And that's where the center plays a role, because not all the states have the same capacity. Of course, there's the central universities and all that. Let's upgrade some of them to be really world class, because ultimately the fight beyond this is going to be about who has the best intellectual property. And Indians are capable, but we need the institutions who match the capabilities of the Indians.